Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Expats Everywhere. I'm Josh. This is Kaylee, and we're half of the team here at Expats Everywhere. We wanted to shoot this video to just kind of let you guys, our viewers, our fellow expats, know kind of what we're about and tell you a bit about our journey as expats. You ready to go, Kaylee?
Sure, let's do this.
All right, let's unpack it for you guys.
So in 2009, we started our journey abroad. We moved to Madrid, Spain. There, I was an au pair, and Josh went to school.
Yeah, so I did a university course through Universidad de Alcalá. It was a master's course, and it basically started my teaching career.
And at that time, I wasn't teaching or had never done anything like that, but I had babysat a lot in the States. So doing an au pair job seemed to be the best thing. And it was before we were married, so I lived with the family that I worked for.
Yeah, and I lived in the southeast part of the city with a couple Spanish roommates.
And I was in a little village just outside the city, which was perfect for being an au pair because when you're walking the baby around and stuff, it's better to not be down in the city center. We had like playgrounds and everything in the village. So it was cool because I was able to live in a smaller village, but then go into the city to see him and do the whole nightlife thing as well. So it was a good experience.
When we got started, it was pretty crazy because we were on jobs that paid very little. Especially when you take into consideration what people are making in the States. The first year of this master's program that I did, our first year in Spain, I was making roughly 800 euros a month.
And I was making like 60 euros a week, which is nothing, but I didn't have to pay for anything. I lived with the family, food was paid for, and so that's generally normal as an au pair. You don't make much money, but you also don't have to spend money on costs of living for things, so it's mainly pocket money. It still wasn't a lot, but the good thing was for Spain, it was fine. We were still able to travel a lot outside of Spain, in Spain, and nightlife was great. We were able to do a lot of stuff even though we didn't have much money.
So I was making 1,400 euros a month, and I also did some private lessons. So on a good month, I was making around 1,800 euros, which is a really good amount of money for Madrid. We were able to catch EasyJet and Ryanair flights around Europe all year long.
And even to like Morocco and
Yeah.
Egypt, things like that, the northern part of Africa.
Yeah, we traveled a ton. As you can see, I'm wearing an Arsenal jersey. They're a soccer team or football team based in London. And we would catch Ryanair EasyJet flights from Madrid to London every 6 weeks or so we could see a match at the Emirates Stadium. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, travel's really cheap around Europe. You just gotta know where to look.
Well, after 2 years living in Madrid, we really had the desire to see another part of the world. So we kind of narrowed things down to 3 different countries within East Asia. We decided to look at Japan, Malaysia, and South Korea. And we ended up settling on South Korea. And the reason is Japan was a place that had some fairly rigorous programs. And what I mean by that is it was difficult to get jobs there in terms of the application process and whatnot. And actually in Malaysia, at least at the time, you needed quite a bit of experience teaching English to get the good jobs.
And I didn't have any experience because I was just an au pair in Spain. So when I was in Spain, I started a TEFL. You could do an online TEFL course, which at that time, that was worth something. Nowadays, it's not much. It can get you into a couple countries, like entry-level stuff, but they're looking for more normally now requirements. So I didn't have any experience. So that kind of made South Korea the choice for us.
Yeah. So when we went to Korea, we went there sight unseen. Just like Spain, I'd never traveled to Spain. Had you?
No, I hadn't been to Spain. I'd been to Europe before, but not Spain.
Yeah, so neither one of us had traveled to Spain. We hadn't traveled to South Korea before settling on South Korea as being our next place to live. We had the decision of living in either Seoul or Busan, and we decided to go with Busan.
Busan is the second largest city in South Korea. And Seoul is huge, massive, like big city life.
One of the biggest cities in the world.
Yeah, and being in Madrid, we were landlocked, and I grew up in Florida, so I love the beach. So we decided, at least in Busan, it would be a little different than Madrid in the sense that it's right on the beach. So it's in the southern part of the country. And it's also big as well, since it's the second largest. So we decided beach over city, pretty much.
I think it was a great decision.
Yeah, when we were there, we would travel to Seoul, which was fun, but we really liked Busan better. A lot of people would say they like Seoul better. I think if you live in Seoul.
Yeah.
But we like Busan.
As far as wages, we were making around 2,000 USD, more or less. And then we were also doing some private lessons from time to time. We were saving about one person's salary, more or less. Because cost of living is quite cheap there. You can go out, food and drink's cheap, entertainment's cheap.
So when I was in Korea, I was teaching, and I taught at an elementary school, just a local government school. The two main things there are the government jobs, like for the schools, or you can do the hagwons, which are the private academies. And of course, you have university jobs as well. But I did the elementary, like local school.
The jobs I had, actually, the first year that we were there, I was working for Epic, the same program that Kaylee worked for, except I was at a all-boys high school. And after talking with my colleagues at the high school, they said, listen, you're so qualified, you could get a job at a university. So I started applying around to universities, and I ended up getting a job at a great university, had a great experience there. The pay was a bit less than what we were making with Epic, but my hours were so much less, and the stress was virtually zero. And the vacation was a lot more than with the Epic program.
After about 18 months in Korea, we got the itch to move again.
Of course.
And this time we decided to look into the Middle East.
Yeah.
We didn't really know anything about the Middle East, but really wanted to check it out, get an idea, and of course the money's great there. I was like, okay, fine, Middle East, but I will not go to Saudi Arabia. I'm like, oh, okay, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, those seem okay. So we started looking for jobs, and we found a job in Dubai. But then after looking at cost of living, how much we would be making, and then a few red flags that came up.
So this is our dog Pincho. We actually got him when we were in Korea. So yeah. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up adopting him, and he's been traveling with us ever since.
He's become a world traveler.
Yeah.
We decided not to take the jobs, and it was a little late in the game, so we started looking, and of course we found jobs in Saudi Arabia.
It was like June or July, and the school year started in August. So I think that we were a bit late in the game to be looking at jobs in Saudi Arabia, but we ended up finding a really ideal job, I think.
Because what happened was this job that opened up, they were done hiring, but then they found out that they were going to have more students, and they were like, oh no, we're short teachers, we need to hire teachers. The director had just posted something to hire a few more teachers, and it just happened to be the time we said no thanks to the Dubai job, and started looking in the Middle East, and this one popped up. And of course I was like, of course it would be Saudi Arabia, and I was not thrilled. I didn't know anything about it, and so being a woman, you only hear very negative things on the news about it. So I just was like, that sounds miserable. I don't want to do that. We couldn't take the dog with us. They're not very dog friendly, and so logistically it would just be too hard.
Yeah, we had a couple objectives going there, though. We wanted to make money, of course, but that wasn't the only objective. We wanted to see the culture. We also wanted to kind of experience the Middle East and experience Saudi for ourselves, and not just listen to what the Western media tells us it's like, because there are a lot of negative things in Western media about Saudi, and a lot of those things were removed for us.
So we went, we got the jobs in June or July.
You can get our perspective of what it's like living and working in Saudi Arabia, but just to give you guys kind of an idea of what it was like moving there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind. Our company did a really good job of getting the visa process and stuff done for us. I felt like the information, like when you get into the country, was sparse. So we showed up late at night, probably like around 11 p.m. or so.
Well, even before that,
I didn't really know what to wear because, you know, you hear you're supposed to be covered, and it's like, I don't have what's called an abaya. I didn't have one of those, so it's like, okay, so on the flight, I changed into like just a long black skirt and a long black long sleeve, just to be like in all black and covered, and then I kind of had this scarf. So we get there late at night, and getting through immigration was a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
There's so many people coming in for work. You've got people who are coming to be maids, people who are coming to do construction, people who are coming to teach, coming in for their first time, and it's just a zoo. It took hours to get through immigration. We go out, and you know, you have loads of guys there, it's like standing there with your name. So We're looking, and all of a sudden we see a piece of paper with our names written on it, taped to just this pole. There's our names, and there's some guy standing there. We're like, that's us. And he was like, oh, that's not me.
That's not my sign.
So it's like, okay, our names are here, and they're, what are we supposed to do?
Well, this guy kind of pantomimed that it wasn't him, and that the person that had put the sign had left. And
thankfully, I guess the guy who was picking us up saw that we went to the sign. He was somewhere, I think, getting coffee or something.
Yeah.
And he comes running and chasing us down. We just follow him, and we get in a van, and we just drive off into the desert.
We don't know this guy from
at all.
From anybody here.
We just know that someone's picking us up at the airport. I mean, if you think about it, it sounds crazy that we did that.
It sounds absolutely insane.
And we have to drive like 2 hours.
Not a lot of lights on the highway as you're going down, so it's very dark. Well, we finally arrive at the compound, and nobody's there to greet us. The driver knows which apartment that we're supposed to stay in. He gets the key, opens it up, and he just kind of like waves his arm like, this is your palace. We walk in. It didn't look like a palace at all. It was pretty rough looking on the inside. Okay, this is home. I'm going to grab my toothbrush, brush my teeth, and crash out. And so I did.
Yeah, it was like 3 a.m. And so he fell asleep. And I just sat at the kitchen table like, what did we just get ourselves into? And I cried. I don't think I told him that till like months later.
No, I just found that out actually a few months ago. We had a conversation about it. I don't even remember how it came up. But
I think I was telling someone else.
Yeah,
and you were just there.
Like, really?
Oh, I just sat there and cried. I was so overwhelmed. Like, it was all so different and so new, and I was tired.
Yeah, it was an overwhelming experience, but I think at the end of the day, it was a really good experience. Not to talk too much about Saudi, because we have our own videos about Saudi.
So now, we're in Singapore. We've been here for just over 2 years.
Yeah. It was a place that we had missed on our travel list whenever we were in South Korea.
Yeah, it's funny coming from the Middle East. Like, you just sit on a bus and you're like, trees, grass, flowers, because you just don't see any of that.
Yeah,
or it's sparse.
Take it for granted.
I mean, you see some like in Qatar. I think in Doha they try to do a good job. In Oman, they try to do a good job of having green spaces. But it's still just the land there isn't conducive to it.
So around the hotel that we were staying at, we noticed that there were people that were walking their dogs and people that were walking hand in hand, and we thought, wow, this is refreshing. This is different than where we have been. This is different than what we know of East Asia. That night in the hotel, I decided to start looking for work. One of the companies that we found that night is the company that we work for now.
So we got involved with the international school, which was good. It's different the first time that we have taught at an international school.
We actually were offered to shoot an episode of House Hunters International. The episode is something like Jet Setters.
Yeah, Jet Setters Stay Put in Singapore.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah. Someone told us it was on an airplane that they actually saw it.
Oh yeah, on a Emirates Airlines flight.
Yeah.
From Singapore to Dubai. So our life in Singapore is pretty awesome. The one concern that I had about Singapore was how expensive it was. I won't say how expensive it is, because I think once you learn how to live local here, it's not that expensive.
Yeah, and it's not even that bad. Like, I think when people here live local, you think,
oh yeah,
really outside of your comfort zone. Singapore is just such a mix of cultures and expats and everything like that. So like living local it's not necessarily like off the beaten path kind of local.
Yeah, I mean, is Singapore highly regulated? Yes. But is that for the good of the people? Yeah, I think so. I think, with the hawker centers, which are like food courts, you're going to go there, eat a good meal for cheap, and you're not going to get sick. So Singapore is so awesome. We're having an amazing time here. There's so much to do, so much to see. I feel super blessed that we're here.
Yeah, I think that Singapore does a really good job of having like city life, sky rises, downtown feel, and then like right in the midst of that, there are parks, and you go into these parks and you feel like you're not in the city.
The downside of Singapore, I would say, and a lot of expats would probably agree with me, would be that it can feel small at times, or they complain about how hot it is.
It
or
is
the
hot,
humidity.
yeah. And I mean, it's small, but it's very easy to get to different places. like close by. You've got islands all around that are like Indonesian, Malaysian islands, or you can cross the causeway straight into Malaysia. So even though it does feel small, it feels more like being in a city. You can get to stuff easily. And the Changi airport's really nice. I think it's rated number one
Number one
airport.
in the world.
Yeah, in the world. It's so nice. It's like has a swimming pool, has a movie theater.
So as far as wages here, we make kind of middle of the road for expats, I think, for Western expats here. You know, we're not on one of these crazy manager salaries or lawyer salaries or engineer salaries. But in terms of teachers, I think we make maybe above the national average. We make below what some of the bigger international school teachers make. But it's more than enough. Definitely more than enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're very comfortable here. I've never felt like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have money.
Over the past 8 years, being expats, we've really been blessed with being able to see a wide variety of countries and cultures, not just through traveling, but also through living in that place. Our experiences have been really invaluable to how we see the world. We appreciate you guys watching this video. We really hope that it was informational and that you guys were able to get to know us better as expats.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll start shooting a bit more around Singapore and when we travel. So if there's something that you want to see or a question that you have that you want us to talk about, just write it in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Yep, more subscribers, then we'll be able to do more videos for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.